In this video, I'm gonna do something completely unheard of. I'm gonna show you guys the exact system that we use to sell over $3.5 million worth of creative work and how you can implement it into your video agency today. And all this without having to lower my prices in fear of rejection, without having to work multiple day rate side gigs to make ends meet or sacrifice my family in the process. This stuff that I'm about to show you here, this is the same sort of stuff that most coaches or gurus would keep hidden behind their coursework. I'm gonna actually pull back the curtain today. I'm gonna show you exactly how this stuff works right now so that you can really just scale up the business that you love so much, that you can get more high paying creative projects and retainers so you can buy back your time, build a team, and spend more time with the people you love. By the end of this video, you're gonna know exactly how to, number one, design your sales process so clients willingly share their max budget and never ghost you on a proposal again. Number two, how to package and present your work as an irresistible offer and take no off of the table for your next proposal. Number three, how to ethically and consistently raise your prices so you can delegate the time-consuming work, maintain a healthy profit, and keep your bandwidth to grow. Number four, I'm gonna show you guys how to close high-paying video projects and retainers to stabilize and scale your income and finally get off of the revenue roller coaster once and for all. And just so we don't waste each other's time, this video is only for full-time video agency owners and commercial filmmakers making at least 10K per month who want to build a healthy, scalable, sustainable business and not work multiple day rate side gigs for the rest of their life to make ends meet. So if you're not a full-time creative or video agency owner and you're dead set on hitting the lottery on your next independent film or becoming the next Christopher Nolan, then please stop watching this video. I'm just simply not your guy. There's lots of awesome people you can follow on YouTube to learn that stuff. I'm just not one of them. For those of you who want to build a profitable video agency that gives you the cash flow and freedom to buy back your time, build a team, and pursue projects that matter, keep watching. Now, it's one thing for me to tell you how awesome this program is and how much it's going to change your life, but if you're anything like me, you're going to want to see some proof. You're going to want to see real people that are actually putting this stuff into play. So what I've done is I've actually just, grabbed some screenshots from our Slack channel of all the people that are winning with this exact system. So let's get into it. So first things first, we've got Mark. He said he landed a $23,000 client today, and he's pitching another one for $30,000 tomorrow. So let's just pause right there for a second. Can you imagine what that would be like in your business if you were closing $23,000 deals, $30,000 deals? I mean, just think on that for a second. How much would that change your life? It doesn't stop there though. We've got Jose just landed a $20,000 client today, and they're working inside of the fitness niche. It's just so cool to see people actually put this stuff into play and watch their lives change right in front of me. So got Sam, one of his biggest wins from 2023, said was landing an $8,000 monthly YouTube retainer. He's huge in the solar industry, so it's super cool to see him win as well. And then we've got Sydney here, who closed a $27,000 deal and a $47,000 deal. And then you got AJ. This is an incredible one. So he says, praise God. Today alone, we have closed $10,000 in business. We've officially broke 100K in sales for 2023, and January isn't even finished. $100,000 locked in for the entire year, and January wasn't even over. So then you got Jake. Jake's super interesting story. When Jake came in, he was charging anywhere from like $3,000 to $5,000 for what he was doing. And now he's charging anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 for the same work. Like, he didn't upgrade his ability to shoot, didn't upgrade his ability to edit. It's the same work that's being done for the client, but bigger and bigger projects and retainers are being sold because he's got his hands on the right system. So just here, he says, huge win today. Landed one of my biggest deals ever at $30,000. They chose the platinum package, which is the highest end. Another one, he said he landed 2 platinum packages this week, totaling to about $21,000. So $51,000 worth of deals in just a few months. And think of the impact that that had on his family and on his life and on his ability to provide as a man. I think that that's super cool. So moving on, we've got Damon. Damon came in charging around $500 for the videos he was making. He's now charging $15,000 for the stuff that he is selling. And it said that it changed the way he did business forever. You've got Eric and Britt who came in, super awesome couple based in South Florida. They're doing $16,000 a month now, $19,000 a month. You've got Eli. Eli came in, he had a team full of people, and he was very much in the business, right? So when we're building up a video agency, it's super easy, especially if we're the specialists, especially if we're super good at what we do. To get stuck in the weeds of the business. So what we did, we worked with Eli, is we pulled him out of the day-to-day of the business and continue to scale up the organization. This is a super cool screenshot that he shared where he passed $1 million in client payments collected. So super proud of that dude. Incredible testimony there. Then you've got Matt and Mason. These guys are incredible. They're based out in Indiana. They came in, doing around $75,000 a month and continuing to scale up to multiple 100K months with what they're learning from us on client acquisition. Love these guys. And it's really fun to just continue to watch them grow and scale this thing up. So those are just a few people that we've been able to help at The Wealthy Creative, but I also wanted to share a little bit about my story. So back in 2018, I took the jump and went full-time in my video business. And immediately after leaving, I had some nice side income built up. I had some clients I was working with on top of my full-time job. But as soon as I took the jump, I literally almost lost everything. I went from having all my needs met, plenty of excess cash on the side, to now having to survive and living in a cockroach infested apartment, literally trying to make ends meet, trying to make it as an entrepreneur. So from that point, we built a video agency. We went from just me working part-time on this thing to 12 full-time employees. And we scaled up to sell over $3.5 million worth of creative projects and retainers in just the last few years alone. All right, so now that you know a little bit about me, let's get back into the content. I'm gonna show you exactly what you need to do to scale your video agency. First things first, there's a few things that you're gonna need to know if you're gonna scale your video agency. Number one, you're gonna need to design your sales workflow so that every time you're introduced to a new opportunity, you've got a tried and true process to go from, hey, nice to meet you, to sign here, please. And we have a 5-step process, like a 5-step sales framework, basically, that we teach at The Wealthy Creative inside of our program that works no matter where the lead comes from or how they're introduced to you. Because as a creative, I can relate to this. Like there'll be times like I'll meet somebody at like a trade show and be like, oh, this is awesome. And then somebody will have an exact project in mind, or they'll want to do a very specific thing, but then you'll meet another client and they have like no clue what they want, right? I'm sure that's probably happened to you guys before. And so you'll have a variety of different ways that you interact with customers, but the thing is that you have to have a consistent system that works every single time so that you're not entering these conversations like guessing like, oh, what should I like do next in this sales process? So I'm going to teach you this exact sales process right here, right now. Let's get into it. So this is how we break it down. Step number one is intro. And this is where you get to know the client regardless of where they come from, whether that's inbound, like I said. So, it's an inbound warm referral. Somebody comes to you, said, hey, Landon, I love your work, what you're doing at Grindstone. I really want to work with you guys. Number two, if it's outbound. So if I reach out to them on a cold call, cold DM, anything along those lines, maybe I walk into their place of business, right? That'd be like outbound, or it's like network. So we're just out and about, happy to meet somebody at a trade show. So that's the first phase of the sales process. And you really can't have anything after that point without this one. Like you have to be in a position to where like, what to do in the intro phase, as I call it. So intro phase is really simple. It's literally just be a human being, get to know them and ask questions about them and their business. Don't try and act interesting. Don't try and act like you're all that, right? We want to be interested, not act interesting, because when we ask questions to our potential clients or people that we want to work with, they're going to be a lot more likely to trust us, and they're going to feel very heard and valued by making them the center of the attention in the conversation. So it's not a manipulation tactic. It's nothing like that. It's just being an authentic salesperson and getting to know somebody. And I always said, like, this isn't about selling for me. This is about building a relationship. So that's a big key. So that wraps up the intro phase. So the second phase is called discovery. And this is where we ask client questions to learn more about their vision, their goals, and what project they have in mind. Okay, pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to dig way deeper into that in a little bit. Number three is package and price. So based upon the information you've gathered from discovery, we're going to put together 3 custom solutions that are really going to help them achieve their goal. Like, you don't want to just say like, oh, okay, well, we'll make you this brand video and that's the end of the conversation. There's studies that show that there's a certain percentage of customers that are actually excited to spend more money with you. And so we want to give those people an opportunity to spend more money with us by presenting them kind of the good, better, best. I like to call it the silver, gold, platinum options. That way they feel like, oh my gosh, like I have a chance to work with this person. Even if I don't want to shell out $25,000, $50,000, they have an entry level price point at say $7,500 or $5,000. And wherever you're at in your video business, you can apply that. It works whether or not you're selling a $500 thing all the way up to a $2,000 thing, or a $7,500 thing all the way up to like 100,000. We've used this to do like $100,000 like high-end packages, and it works literally every single time. Next step is presentation. So once you've got the introduction made, you did a great discovery call with them, and then you put together your packaging and your pricing so you know what it's going to cost to fulfill, you know what you need to sell it for. Now it's time to get into the presentation. So you're actually going to walk your client through a proposal as a presentation in person or on Zoom. And I love either one is good. I've done lots of both. And you're going to address any questions that they might have at the end of the presentation. So this is where like so many creatives get this wrong. They literally will like just send out a proposal and just hope for the best. And this is what happens. They get ghosted. Right? They get ghosted. So we don't want that to happen. We want to make sure that we're in control of the information, and we're also guiding them through an experience. Because you think about the pressure you're putting on that one document if you just send over a proposal and that's it. Right? The design better be on point. The strategy better be on point. Like if I was sending this to you in a blog, this information, you wouldn't be catching my energy and my passion around this. And that same opportunity that you have as a creative to like bless people with your energy and just share your passion for what you do, that's really tough to put into an email. So we want to make sure that we're presenting it, we're excited, and it's an energy transfer for them. So that's the fourth step, which is presentation. This is where like no one does this part for sure. No one that I've met, and we've coached, 50 plus creatives in like the last 6 to 12 months alone. And no one I've met does this last part. So this is critical. It's called a next steps call. So during the presentation at the end, you're either going to get like a verbal commit, like, yep, we're in, let's do this thing. And you can start the paperwork process. But most people, what they'll say is, oh, okay, I got to go back and talk to my boss. I got to go back and talk to my spouse. I got to go back and pray about it, whatever it might be. Right. So, and there's perfectly legitimate reasons for them to do that. Maybe they don't have approval to give it to you. Variety of different reasons why that might be. But what we want to do is make sure that we book a next steps call so that we're not chasing down the prospect. Right. So what I do for this is I literally say at the end of the presentation, say, hey, this has been awesome. Really, really great. Just getting an opportunity to present to you guys today. So the next step in our process is pretty simple. What we do is we book what's called a next steps call. Gives you guys time to go think about it, pray about it, talk to who you need to talk to. But then what we're going to do from there is we'll come to a decision point, say like Tuesday of next week. So does that sound fair enough? And then usually like, they're like, yeah, sounds great, because they don't want to push off the decision, right? Most people don't like learn information. If they've made it to this far in your sales process, they're not here to just like kick the can down the road. They ultimately want to come to a decision point. So what this is doing, it's just giving them an opportunity to make that happen. Next steps calls are huge. So that's how to design your sales workflow. So when you're introduced to a new opportunity, no matter where they come from, you're in a really, really good position to make that sale happen. So like you might be thinking like, Landon, this is going to take forever to learn. And how do I do this? What about the system, stuff like that? And one of our recent students, Trace, he just joined the Creative Academy, and he like signed up. He signed up like late at night. So it was like a 7 p.m. call that I had with him, and he forgot to tell me that he had a discovery call the next day. And so this dude, like, we get off the sales call, whatever. And, I go spend time with my wife. I'm hanging out after the call gets done and he gets onboarded. And he forgot to mention that he had a sales call. And so he DM'd me at like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, like, hey, dude, totally forgot to mention, like, do you have anything that I can look up from like a discovery standpoint? And he had actually got a hold of some of the training in our program. And he's like, never mind, I figured it out. And he literally like got a hold of this training. We have like a discovery script. We have questions to ask. And I detailed this whole workflow out. And he's like, dude, this just makes so much more sense. I've got the document. I asked the questions. The call went freaking amazing. And that's exactly how it should feel, guys. Like, it shouldn't be this super complicated, or it shouldn't be this like a stressful process at all. And so, Trace went on to close a $7,000 deal with that. It was one of the biggest deals he's ever closed. So that was really cool to see, not somebody that I had spent all this time even mentoring or coaching, but somebody that just got a hold of the right material. So it can happen like that, which is really cool. So next step, we have like once you feel good about your sales framework, the second thing we want to do is master the art of discovery. So like, okay, we scoped out to like the 5 steps, right? To recap the 5 steps, we have intro, discovery, package and price, presentation, and next steps. So it's a 5-step process. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to deep dive into the discovery process, because this is honestly the part that a bunch of other like video guru people are selling. Like they're selling scripts, or they're, doing stuff like that, or like maybe they hold this back in their program. The truth is, guys, like when you go apply this, you're going to make so much money doing this. You're going to be like, that dude made me money for free. I want to work with him forever. And like, that's genuinely the hope that we have here, because like this is going to change your life. So I'm super excited to share it. So when you are in the discovery call, you need to be able to ask the right questions to your clients in the right order, so they not only trust you, but they see you as the go-to authority or the expert in the market. This is how most creatives do it. They come into a discovery meeting, they ask the client, okay, what video do you want? Maybe they even ask, okay, why do you want the video? What are you hoping the video will do for you? That's just a couple different things that they'll ask. And that's a really good start to like scratch the surface and get some basic project details. But what they're not addressing is the overall vision or goals of the company outside of the specific project, nor are they addressing the urgency of why this video needs to be created now, or what happens if we just kick this can down the road until next year. And to make matters worse, like most creatives, they leave the discovery meeting having no real idea of what to put together for like a budget range. Like, and it causes anxiety. I remember when I was doing this wrong, and it was very, very anxiety driven, because I was like, how much am I supposed to be putting on this? Like, I hope this is enough. I hope this isn't too much. So you don't actually have to do that. So it's been said that in order for a prospect to buy something, they have to carry these 7 beliefs. So if you're taking notes, this is what I would consider a writer downer. You're going to want to take this stuff down. This is going to change your life. And when I started selling with these things in mind, our business just exploded. I mean, we went from doing, we went from selling stuff, guys, just a little bit on my backstory again. Like, we went from selling stuff, like at one point I was selling videos for, I was selling a monthly service of video for $200 a month. I was doing tons and tons of content for $200 a month, which is insane. I mean, it's not even enough for one video, back then, let alone a month's worth. So I wasn't very good at the very beginning, but eventually I got better, and my prices were still really low. So if you're going to close more deals, going back to the very beginning where I mentioned how to close high paying video projects and retainers so you can stabilize and scale your income and get off the revenue roller coaster, this is key. Like, you have to understand this stuff. So these are the 7 beliefs that someone has to have if they're going to buy from you in your video agency. So number 1, pain. They must believe they have a problem that's keeping them from getting what they want. Like, if they have no pain that's causing them to think like, oh yeah, video is not too big of a deal. We'll just put up a billboard, or we'll advertise in the newspaper. We'll just do some digital, some PPC, whatever. Like, if they have no pain whatsoever causing them to think like, oh, our brand's not that important to invest in, then they're probably not going to buy from you. I used to be so confused when people would like come into a meeting and they'd be all excited on a project first and foremost. And then I would talk to them and they would say like, we present the price or whatever, and they'd be like, we're not interested. It's like, wait a second. Like, you went through this entire process and you're not interested. It's because they didn't actually have enough pain. And maybe you guys have felt that before, where like you meet this client super excited about a project. They know what they want, but yet like when they dig deep down and you ask them like, why do you really want this? They're like, I don't really know. Like, I just honestly kind of shiny object syndrome. I just wanted a nice video. Happened to us all the time. So pain is the first thing they have to have. Second thing they have to have is doubt. So your prospect, your potential person you're going to be working with, they must believe that they cannot fix this problem on their own, and attempting to do so would waste a ton of unnecessary resources. So time and money, given the other avenues that are available. If they have this, and you'll run into this with certain people, if they have this like underlying belief that like, oh yeah, our internal team can handle that, they're not really going to view you as the most valuable option. They're not going to see you as a premium in the market, because they're like, oh, our team can do that stuff. Like, we don't need him. We don't need her to do that. Like, so they have to have like a genuine like doubt of like, could we do this on our own? Could we produce their level of quality for our business? Like, do we have the tech? Do we have the talent? Do we have the team? Like, do we have any of that stuff? So they have to have doubt. And that's, as you work with bigger and bigger businesses that have internal marketing teams, the more that will kind of be an issue. But like most small business owners, they have no question in their mind that they can't produce the quality that you can produce. And on top of that, they don't know what it's going to mean for them in terms of results. So the third thing is cost. So the prospect must believe that doing nothing is far more painful than the investment in time and money to fix this problem. So they genuinely have to know that if they do nothing and they just kick this can down the road, that it's actually going to cost them more money to do so. And maybe you've been in meetings before where somebody's like, okay, if we don't do this year, then we're going to fall behind and our competitors are going to take market share. That would be a genuine pain somebody would have that would actually cause them to take action. Okay. Then you have desire. So the prospect must believe solving the problem would yield a better future situation. So another way to think about this would be like what's called a heaven island. They have to believe that your solution, whether it's short form video, brand video content, consistent video content, building up their YouTube channel, whatever it might be, they have to have a genuine like desire to go chase that thing, to like have that be a part of their life. And they have to have a desire that is deep seated and helps them understand that that's going to get them to where they want to go. Not everybody is super pain focused where they're like, oh my gosh, if I don't get a video done tomorrow, I'm going to die. It's not like that, right? It's more so along the lines of, if we don't do this, we're going to fall behind. And I have a desire to be over here. And I know that video is going to get us there. Okay. So money. The belief that the prospect has the resources and willingness to solve the problem. So if they don't have the cash, or they, better yet, they have not prioritized the cash or the money to put into investing in media, marketing, content, whatever it is that you do, well, then it's going to be really difficult to get them to buy. So you need to be asking questions around, okay, so what budget do you guys have set aside from this? And they're going to be like, I don't know. We've never done this before. And so to that, you're going to say, cool. So based upon what you've told me so far, which is not a ton of information about this project, but based upon what you've shared with me so far, this could range anywhere from $50,000 down to around 25. I'd have to ask some more questions to kind of understand, but like if we were to put a proposal in front of you tomorrow for like somewhere inside of that range, would that make you fall backwards out of your chair, or would that be kind of in line with what you guys were thinking? So you're going to get one of two responses when they do this. One, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, like they're going to be like really surprised, and that's not going to be what they were expecting to pay, and they don't want to pay it, never will, right? That's one side. Now you'll have another side that's like, oh yeah, that's at least that. We were kind of expecting in that range, or at least that. So then you know, like, okay, we got to go higher. And so just because they don't have a quote unquote budget doesn't mean they don't have a number in mind, or they don't have money prioritized to solve the problem. Now, the thing that is up for debate is how much money will be reprioritized to solve the problem. So they have to have money to buy your stuff. Support. So the belief that the people around them, whether it's a spouse, business partner, board, will support them in fixing the problem. So if you have a really awesome executive director of a nonprofit or a CEO that's like all fired up to solve a problem and to get a video made, and really just to get content for their brand. But then all of a sudden you go to the board members, or he goes to the board members, whatever, and they're like, absolutely not. There's not enough money in the budget, and we're not reprioritizing this from operations. No. Okay, well then they have no support to actually get this through. And you guys may have seen this where you work with somebody and they're like really excited, and then they're not truly the person that's holding the keys to the kingdom, so to speak. And then they go ask somebody else and they get totally shot down. That's why you have to make sure from the very beginning of your discovery call that you are making sure you're speaking with the person who can pull the trigger and actually say yes. Because there's people in organizations that can't say yes, but they can only say no. We call those gatekeepers. So we want to make sure, one, we're talking to the right person, and two, if we are talking to the right person, that person has the support of their spouse, business partner, and or board. So the final belief someone must have before they buy from you is trust. Do they see your solution as clearly different, unique, superior than the other methods that they've tried in the past? So if they've had video content produced for them and it didn't work, which we've had tons of people we've seen and met with that have said that to us. They're like, yeah, but I don't think video is for us. I don't think it really works. There's going to be a general distrust that they have for your mechanism of producing marketing for you. That could be short form content, could be mid form, or like a documercial, whatever it might be. If they have a general distrust for the solution that you are going to provide, then you're going to have to make sure that you ask questions into that and understand and help them understand rather of how different you are and how different your solution is. So you can ask questions around, okay, cool. So when you guys got your video content produced last time, when you did that, how did that go? What did they do? And really help them like unpack the entire process. And then if they say, yeah, but they didn't communicate with us and they were super late on their deliverables, I'm like, oh, that's exactly why we put this process into place. And then you're basically what you're doing, instead of like handling an objection after you share price with somebody, you're actually handling an obstacle in advance to where they're like, oh, okay, well, cool. As long as your process is different, then I think we're good. And that's the difference, right? So when you're in the discovery phase, you can overcome obstacles, meaning you ask people questions, you ask your prospect questions, and you give them an opportunity to trust you during that phase. But as soon as there is a number placed in front of that prospect and they're like, oh, well, now they have all these questions, and then you would consider that like objections. So it's a lot easier to handle obstacles before the money is shown, or the value is shown to them of what they're going to need to pay, price, not value. It's a lot easier to handle those obstacles than it is handle the objections on the back end once the price has been displayed. So that's just like a little hack as well. But to recap these, because I know that was a lot, let's go back through it. So number 1, you have pain. Number 2 is doubt. Number 3, cost, desire, money, support, and trust. So they have to have those 7 core beliefs in order to buy from you, the creative, in your creative agency. That's a huge, huge piece. And that's what it takes to sell to high paying clients. And oftentimes I see this. What's crazy is like most creatives, they only hit like 1 to 2 of these. Maybe they ask on budget, and maybe they ask on desire. So like, cool. So what video are you desiring to create? What video do you want? And then they like get that. And then they maybe say like, oh, what's your budget? They say, we don't have one. So they leave. So they get 1 out of 7, and they wonder why they get ghosted, or they wonder why their deals aren't closing. And this is why they're not hitting these core 7 beliefs, and they're not asking questions to get the prospect to believe that they are the best go-to solution in the marketplace. So that's how you just get destroyed by a bigger, badder agency, is because they're asking these questions. So now you're informed, you know which questions to ask. Once you've mastered the art of discovery, it's time to actually put together a package that your prospect will see as completely irresistible. And here's what I mean out there. There's a lot of gurus that are out there saying to like productize everything in the video world. So like to take like the quote unquote guesswork out of pricing. I don't necessarily agree with this, because when I look back, when we tried productizing things at Grindstone, we were scaling up to like 70K a month, which is like some of our, that was like where our consistent number was. When we were at that price point, we didn't just have productized things that we were selling to our client. In fact, the biggest, most profitable projects and retainers that we were selling, they were customized solutions that were created specifically for the client for a specific outcome we found that they wanted during discovery. So we didn't just say, hey, here's a brand video and then good luck. We said, okay, what do you guys need from a content perspective this year, next year? Like, where are we going? And we would sit down and get the vision of that. And then we would actually put together custom tailored solutions. So they felt like they were getting something that was tailor-made, custom for them. And there's a lot of power in that. There's a lot of power in someone feeling like, oh my goodness, like this literally, if we put this into our business, it would change our life. And so it's tough for someone to say like a productized offer would do that for them. And, with the whole like Hormozi irresistible offer thing, which I love Hormozi, I love his books. When I read, $100 million offers, I was thinking like, man, to truly make an irresistible offer for like a custom boutique video agency, for them to sell it to their clients, it's going to have to be a lot more specific to their needs. And if you're going to do that, you've got to have a really good system to do that. So to help our clients, our students inside of our program to like visually break this down, what we do is we use a very specific pricing framework called options and anchors, so that when the client sees the proposal, they don't feel like backed into a corner, or they don't feel rushed to buy or anything along those lines. So an example of this is when you are doing a proposal, and let's say that you give, you put the presentation together, you put the strategy together, and it's one video and it's one price, or even if it's a bunch of videos and it's one price. When they are faced with that decision, this is how they think. Okay, I either have to work with Landon or I have to go find somebody else because it looks like this is the one price. And if I don't want to pay that price, I have to go elsewhere. And so then they are quite literally, it would be like silly for them to just move on that opportunity right then and there, because they're going to feel like, oh, I didn't do my research. I didn't look to see what 2 or 3 other companies were going to charge me. And so immediately when they're faced with looking down the barrel at one price, they're thinking, okay, it's like a yes or no right now, do or die. And so that's what causes them to ghost you. They haven't necessarily made a decision against you yet, but they also haven't made a decision for you. So the way we remedy this is really, really cool. And I'm telling you, when we change this, everything in the business changed, like in the best way possible. The deals were easier to close. They were more profitable. And our average ticket value went from like a few $1,000s to multiple thousands of dollars. So I'm talking like 3,000 to 5,000 to like 12,000 to 17,000 on an average order value. Can you imagine that? If the average ticket price that you sold was $12,500 and you're selling multiple of those per month, that changed your life. That changed anybody's life. And so options and anchors is the system that we use inside of the creative operating system to like really like hone that in. So that's the feeling that your client gets when they look at the options rather than looking at one option. When they feel like they have options, it's no longer a matter of like, yes, no, do we work with Landon's company? It's now, how should we work with Landon's company? Should we go with silver, gold, or platinum? Like, which option seems like it would best fit our needs right now? And which one could we maybe grow into? But if you present one price, you don't have, that conversation doesn't even exist. So we want to make sure that that is a conversation that can happen in their mind in the first place. So like when we started using options and anchors, everything in our business changed. We went from like slaving over proposals for hours, trying to recreate the wheel every single time, spending hours on strategy, getting rejected or ghosted, when it came to presenting the meeting. We went from that to closing multiple 5-figure projects consistently. And to name a few, this is just a couple from the end of 2023, like Q4 of 2023. We closed a $75,000 project, a $35,000 project, and a $68,000 project. No, these are not retainers. They are projects. They're large projects that will be done over a certain period of time, but the payout schedule was aggressive on the upfront, meaning that we got a lot more cash collected in the beginning so that we could pay our team, we could pay our expenses, but yet we still had cash collected on the back end to even out the cash flow so that we weren't on what we call the cash flow, or the revenue roller coaster, right? We don't want to be on that. So I want you to dream with me for a second. How would it feel if you were to close multi 5-figure deals like that all the time? What would it feel like if you could confidently walk into a meeting and you knew for a fact, like, we're going to do steps 1 through 5. We know exactly how to price this out. We know exactly how to package it together. And we're going to put 3 options in front of this client. And we're not going to be afraid of a high-end budget range because we know what their range is and we know where their high is and we know where their low is. And we're going to give them something they can say yes to and take no off the table. What would that feel like for you? I feel amazing, right? And I can speak from experience that it absolutely changed my life as a business owner, and we'll never go back. We'll literally never, ever, ever not have 3 options in a proposal ever again. So if you take nothing else from this training and learning about the creative operating system, like, take that away from it and just apply that and watch your life change. So you're probably thinking like, okay, so Landon, if I raise my prices, and because you're saying charge more for your stuff and make sure that you've got plenty of margin, that, you're probably thinking like, oh, well, if I raise my prices, I'm just going to drive away all my current customers. And you should be concerned about that, but only if you're doing the single price option to where you're just putting one price in front of them. You should also be concerned if you weren't building enough value during discovery or the presentation phase. And the beauty of this system with the creative operating system is that there's never like a sticker shock moment. Like, I used to get sticker shock from clients. It literally doesn't happen now because we fixed our process to sell. And what I told you about anchors earlier, when I said, okay, so if I presented a proposal for X dollars, would that make you fall out of your chair? That's a very subtle anchor. And so you're anchoring on the high end, and then you're getting a feel of where they are. It's very intentional. And it also helps them understand like what they truly want to spend. So again, still authentic, still a good thing for both parties. And I mean, the beauty of that is that it completely just eliminates sticker shock. So now that you've got a really, really strong system for packaging, we're going to move into pricing. We've got our mindset adjusted to selling the outcome and not just the hours. And another thing, we want to make sure that when we're selling stuff to a client, we're not selling number of hours. We're not even necessarily just selling the number of deliverables. What we're selling to them is an outcome. They don't necessarily want a video for the sake of having a video or photos for the sake of having photos. They want them because they want something out of it, especially when it comes to business people, right? So in the wedding side, it might be more like a nostalgia thing. Business people, it's different. They're getting this done because they have a specific outcome, a specific dream that they want to come to pass. Right. So I want you guys to think about this. Like, I'm done selling time and materials and hours. I'm now selling the outcome. And are there going to be deliverables that technically are in the contract? Of course there are. They have to know like X's and O's what they're getting. But so many people focus on selling the videos or selling the time or the materials. We want to focus on selling the dream, sell the outcome that they actually want at the end. So now that we have our mindset adjusted to not sell the hours, but rather to sell the outcome, what we need to make sure is that we're profitable on what we're about to present as a solution. Because even if you pick X dollars for a solution, if it's a huge project, you might still be way off on your profitability. And so the way that you do this is it all starts with understanding what's called your blended hourly rate. And another way to say that is if you don't make this much money per hour over the course of a month, you are actually losing money. So here's how we find it. We start off by adding up all of your overhead expenses each month and dividing it by the number 173, which is the average number of working hours per month across all 12 months. So for example, if your overhead is $5,000 a month and your blended hourly rate would be $5,000 divided by 173 for a grand total of $28.90 per hour. So if you're spending $5,000 a month to stay in business, and that's how much your burn is every single month, then you have to be making $28.90 per hour just to break even. Just to break even alone. So now we'll take that number $28.90 and multiply it by all the different things we need to make a video successful. That's going to be pre-production, production, post-production, then tack on travel, contractor expenses, and rentals, anything additional like miscellaneous type stuff. And that's going to get you to what's called your hard cost of production. Again, that's another rider downer, hard cost of production. So this is where most creatives stop. They will literally say, okay, this is my hard cost of production. This is what it cost for me to produce this. And then they will not tack on any markup. And that's the problem why they never grow. That's why they're not able to pay for an editor to take some of the workload off. That's why they're not able to, pay for someone to help them on set, because they're not costing, meaning job costing, to grow. They're only job costing to survive. And so we don't want to just leave it at the hard cost of production line and put that on the proposal. What we want to do is tack on, say, 200% markup to get us around what would be a 40% net profit. And this is exactly why we created the Wealthy Creative Calculator. If you guys haven't gotten that yet, make sure you get a copy. We'll link in the description below. But that's exactly why we created this system, because there's so many people that don't actually understand what they're selling their video for. They think they're making money, but in reality, they're just hitting the hard cost of production, AKA their break-even point. And that's what keeps them in this like survival mode for years and years and years. And so we're going to completely break that off. And that is, you guys can get that for free. It's like in the description below. So make sure you check that out. So this concept of job costing, blended hourly rates, all this stuff, it might seem a little bit foreign to you at the beginning, but that's exactly why we've created the Wealthy Creative Calculator, because our clients use this thing every single day. And I use it every single day. Why? Because it's simple, it's effective, and it's deadly accurate, like creepy accurate for how good it is. And so doing all this math on paper that I just explained to you, when you're adding up all the different hours and the mileage and all that stuff, like that can take way too long. And even worse than that, there's a risk you could be doing it wrong. Like you could actually be adding up and multiplying this stuff wrong, and not actually having a true understanding of your hard costs. So let's say that the client had a budget for X and you're way above X, thinking that you're job costing way above. Well, and you might think, oh, well, that's no big deal. But what if like you really only needed to make, a certain amount and you would have locked in a 40% net profit? That'd be pretty good for a creative agency, right? So we not only want to be accurate on, the low end, but on the high end as well. And that's the cool thing about this is it stair steps up and down based upon the size of the project. So whether the project is $500 or whether the project is $500,000, this calculator can help you dial in exactly what your proposed value needs to be and how much profit you're going to be taking home, which is huge. So we actually just started working with a student recently, and once they used this calculator, they were truly shocked and a little bit disturbed actually on how little they were pricing their services. And a few weeks later, they posted this in the Wins channel on our Slack, talking about how they closed a $47,000 deal. And I just saw another message from them today saying that their business is exploding. And you got to think about it, guys. If you're just at the break-even line, no matter how big your business is, whether you're at 50,000 a month or you're at 5K a month, if you are not locking in profit for your business, there's a ton of risk associated with that. And that's what people are on with this revenue roller coaster, up and down months financially. Like, one, if you're providing for your family, you don't want to subject them to the swings of the business world if you can't get your pricing figured out and live below your means, right? And so first and foremost, we have to understand, like, how much are we spending and how much should we be charging for what we're spending? That's huge. We got to have that. So this system is perfect for that. Now, you're probably thinking, holy cow, this creative operating system thing, that's a lot of information, some cool stuff in here, but that's a lot. How in the world am I going to apply that into my life and into my business? So if that's something that you want to learn more about, you're like, Landon, I need this system now. I don't want to waste time. I don't want to stumble around in the dark, YouTubing and Googling things to, infinity. I want to do this now. Then what you can do is click the link below in the description, book a call, and meet with me. We'll talk a little bit more about your business and see if we can help you get to that next level. But I want to clarify. So this is for people who are making 5 to 10K per month in their video agency, or they're a videographer, commercial videographer, and they want to go to that next level. Let's say that, you do hop on a call. We start working together, and the only thing that I help you fix would be your ability to sell. And maybe you close one more deal per month with what you learn. How would that change your life? If that's all we helped you do is just close one more deal per month for $10, $15, $20,000, what would that do for you? What would your lifestyle look like if you were able to close one more deal a month for 5, 10, 15, 20,000? See, the thing is, no matter what we do in life, we invest. We either invest time or we invest money, but regardless, for something to change in your life, you must learn what's wrong and then learn how to fix it. And then once you've attempted it a couple times, you have to stay consistent so that you truly know whether or not it's working. So that sounds like a ton of work to me. And that's why I like to buy knowledge. I like to buy the mistakes, the past failures, and all the trial and error that other people have gone through so that I don't have to take that time and I can just speed past all of their mistakes that they've already made. Because what's more valuable at the end of the day, time or money? Well, time we know is finite. In fact, tomorrow could be your last day on earth. You don't even know, right? So we know that time is finite. We will die at one point, right? But money is unlimited. Like, there's no shortage of money. There's money everywhere. There's more money circulating now than there ever has been. What people more so have is a value problem, not a money problem. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, all right, Landon, I'm good. Thanks for the information. I'm going to go apply this and I'm going to go try this on my own. And the real question here is, like, what's more risky? Taking the next year or two to figure this stuff out on your own with trial and error, losing deals left and right when you could have had the solution all along, or just saying, you know what? I don't know everything. I've never been formally trained in any of this stuff before, and I need somebody to show me how it's done so I can cut the line to start making money sooner. So if that sounds like you, then you definitely want to book in a call below. If you're not hungry to grow your business, you're not in a place to invest, and then please don't book a call. Right? This opportunity is only for serious, committed, full-time commercial filmmakers or video agency owners that want to go to the next level. So if you're satisfied where you're at, God bless you. This is not the program for you. Please don't book the call. So there's really like two directions you can go from here. Number one, take the information you've learned in this video, go try and apply it yourself, invest time into testing, which I've done tons of myself, and try and build out these systems by yourself. Or option two, we can hop on a call, discuss how we can shortcut all of that and give you exactly what you need based upon, what we've tried and tested and customized to your needs so you can actually scale to multiple 6 figures in just a matter of months instead of maybe covering your expenses and staying in business for, the next few years, right? So if that sounds like you're 100% sure and you're like, Landon, 100%, I want to take option two so you can get results faster and easier, click the link below. Again, this is for full-time video agency owners and commercial filmmakers only. So if you're looking to build a real, healthy, sustainable business, this is for you. So, and if you're not there yet, totally fine. Feel free to check out the rest of my content, get to know me, watch a couple episodes of the podcast, get some more value. And then when you're ready, just book a call and we can get going. But I just hope that this information blessed you. I hope that this helps you in your video business. And I'm so excited to potentially meet you someday and potentially get to work together. So I'm Landon Rhodes with The Wealthy Creative, and thanks for watching.